Hello viewers, welcome to Aspire High channel, an education content channel primarily intended for management studies. In this video session, we shall discuss the important questions and answers for the coming term and examination this month in respect of Unit 8 Performance Appraisal of our Human Resource Management course of IGNOU MBA program. In the earlier video sessions, we have discussed the important questions based on the analysis of the previous 8 semester examination question papers. Block wise we have discussed, and for Unit 8 Performance Appraisal, we have identified certain topics like concept of performance appraisal, goals and objectives of performance appraisal process, performance appraisal methods, advantages and disadvantages, problems, and finally a separate topic, potential appraisal. And actually for the June 2024 examination, performance appraisal methods and problems in performance appraisal were covered already, but for a comprehensive understanding of the subject we will have to see them, because sometimes earlier certain questions were a mix of everything, like write about the objectives, mention 2 methods of performance appraisal, mention about advantages and disadvantages of performance appraisal. So if the same question gets repeated, once again we are going to have performance appraisal methods in the coming examination. So accordingly we will discuss all these important topics. This unit is very important from the examination point of view, and also very scoring also. Definitely 1 or 2 20-mark questions are expected, but they are scoring. So students are advised to focus thoroughly all the topics that are being discussed now. Let us start with the first topic, concept of performance appraisal. Employees are considered performing when they are productive. Productivity means what? Effectiveness and efficiency, both. The difference between effectiveness and efficiency we have already discussed in our starting videos itself. Effectiveness means achievement versus target. Efficiency means the ratio of output to the input. So a mix of both is desired. That means the result should be there. That means the targets are to be achieved, and at the same time the process of achieving that has to be efficient. That means we should employ inputs in a optimum way, not employing more and more inputs and somehow getting the results. That is not desired. So that is about productivity. Here next is performance appraisal is defined as a systematic and objective way of judging the relative worth of ability of an employee in performing his or her task. Every time I am telling, whenever a 20 marks question is there, it is always desired to start with something like a definition. Say in the case of performance appraisal, irrespective of the way the question is framed, suppose the question simply says that what are the goals and objectives of performance appraisal, like that. First start with the definition. Performance appraisal is defined as a systematic and objective way of judging the relative worth of ability of an employee in performing his or her task. So first there will be an assignment of a task, and there will be an assessment of that performance, that is whether the task is achieved or not, and how it is achieved, whether it is productive, that means whether it is both effective and efficient. This is all about your performance appraisal. Performance appraisal helps to identify those who are performing their assigned tasks well and those who are not. That means differentiation between a performer and a non-performer. Let us not say a bad performer, let us say performer and a non-performer. And also we have to identify the reasons for such performance, so that ultimate objective is to make things happen way forward in a positive way. That means some corrective methods are to be taken wherever necessary. We will see all those things one after another in our series of topics now. So this is about the concept of performance appraisal. Next comes the goals of performance appraisal. Performance appraisal should serve as a vital component, one that is of interest to both the organization and the employee. It should be very much clear that the performance appraisal system is not only for the interest of the organization, but it is in the interest of the employee also. That is, we will see way forward. First, from the organizational perspective, a sound performance appraisal system, when it is placed or put in place, it can ensure that the desired work is being done, work that assists in meeting organizational objectives. A number of times we discussed that organizational objectives are paramount and everything else comes next. Then whether the performance or the work that is rendered by the employee is in the direction that is ultimately leading to achievement of organizational objectives or not is going to be assessed by this performance appraisal system. Coming to the employee side, from the employee perspective also, we have to understand in a very positive way that a properly operating performance appraisal system provides a clear communication of work expectations. That is, clear role clarity will be there for the employee. That is very much helpful for the employee to get motivated and to move, give his or her best, and at the same time have job satisfaction. That we will see in more detail in our subsequent topics. The next topic is objectives of performance appraisal. We will be able to understand the entire gamut of this performance appraisal in the subsequent topics like the process, the methods, etc. But before that, from the examination point of view, in a 20 marks question, a part of it will be what are the objectives of performance appraisal that is expected, and not only that, a 5 marks short notes question could be also be there. Say, write a short notes on objectives of performance appraisal. For that, we must be able to enlist at least 5 important objectives. For that purpose, students are requested to take note of them. You will be able to understand all these things in the subsequent 2 to 3 topics that follow. Performance appraisal system should have specific objectives, very clear objectives. So there could be a good number of objectives, but out of which the important 5 are: first one is to review past performance, because this is always done after a specified time period, say financial year, or nowadays even quarterly appraisal. Say to review past performances after completion of the financial year relating to the preceding financial year. Similarly, if it is a quarterly review, Q1, Q2, Q3, Q4 like that. Second is to assess the training needs. Because in the appraisal will be writing sometimes that the employee is in need of training in so and so areas. Based on these inputs, the HR team could consolidate the overall training needs of the employees of different cadres, and they can arrange the training programs accordingly. To help develop individuals, this is the third objective. So as I just said, it is not only for the organization but also for the employee. Performance appraisal is also useful to the employee. So in this context, we have to understand this objective. That is, once the performance appraisal is systematic and very much transparent, then automatically the individual also will have role clarity, and they will have good motivational levels, and ultimately leading to job satisfaction. We have to understand this particular objective in that way. And next is to set targets for future performance. In here, one important point I would like to highlight is sometimes the targets may be very much unrealistic, then many people may not be able to perform. So based on this performance appraisal, the top management also may be in a position to have a clear idea that the targets of the preceding year were unrealistic, and they can set a realistic targets in the coming years. That is one objective. And the last but not the least and very important objective is to identify potential for promotion. In fact, the performance appraisal tool is the prime one for taking up promotion from one cadre to the higher cadre. So in this way, we can understand the 5 objectives. They are to review past performance, to assess training needs, to help develop individuals, to set targets for future performance, and to identify potential for promotion. Next is the performance appraisal process. Performance appraisal process can be simply be understood from this diagram itself. I would like to mention at the beginning itself that the diagram that is given in our IGNOU course material is having one error. That is why I have not reproduced it. This is the correct way of representing the steps of the performance appraisal process. It consists of 5 steps. The first one is establish performance standards. Second is they should not be kept confidential. They should be communicated to the concerned. That means it should be known to the employees. Communicate the performance standards. After that, the next third step is measure actual performance. So measuring actual performance is one important step and also a crucial step. For that, the performance appraisal methods that we are going to discuss in the next topic are going to be giving us a fair idea. And the next one is compare actual with standards. So you have standards, you have actual performance. Now the next step is, the fourth one is comparing the actual with standards. And the last step is initiate corrective action if necessary. So if necessary, if there is a variation between the actual performance and the standard set is very large, then definitely it needs some introspection by the top management, and sometimes even the performance standards are also to be revisited and revised for the next time period, that is either a financial year or a quarter. That is why the diagram is indicating a continuous cyclical process. So after initiating corrective action if necessary, once again we are linking it to establishing performance standards. That is what we mean here. So there are 5 steps: establish performance standards, communicate performance standards, measure actual performance, compare actual with standards, and the last one is initiate corrective action if necessary. This is how the performance appraisal process is understood. From the examination point of view, this is an important topic, and in the examination it is always better to present with the diagram. Instead of writing points 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, first you present with the diagram, then you can elaborate. Okay, next we shall move to the performance appraisal methods. There are a good number of performance appraisal methods. Even in our course material also several methods are discussed, but from the examination point of view, actually in the examination we are going to be asked write to any 2 methods. I am presenting 3 methods: critical incidents method, MBO, and 360 degrees method. Students can choose any 2 of the 3. These are very important methods, therefore I have enlisted them for discussion. But in addition to that, some other methods like checklist, forced choice method, group order ranking, graphic rating scale, etc. are also discussed in the course material. But from the examination point of view, this is enough, because ultimately you are going to write only 2 methods. The first one is critical incidents method. Critical incidents method, definitely you will be able to recollect our earlier discussion in job analysis topic. The same thing, the same critical incidents method that is there is now going to be utilized as a performance appraisal method. So what is that? Critical incident appraisal focuses the appraiser's attention on those critical or key behaviors that make the difference between doing a job effectively and not doing so. That is, what are the crucial things? Critical incidents. So I will better illustrate with an example. Suppose in a software company, the project manager versus the software engineer. So project manager is the appraiser, software engineer is the appraisee. So the appraiser is going to have a log of critical incidents in a time period, say quarterly or annually, like that, and that log of critical incidents is going to be the crucial database for assessment of the performance. For example, on one day or on one occasion, the software engineer is able to successfully debug a complex code. So it is a problem solving ability of high order, and it is highly appreciable because it saves the project delays. because the a software engineer is able to debug a complex code. So then it is a very positive feature. That means this is a critical incident and it is a positively reflecting the performance of the appraisee. Similarly, on some other occasions, the software engineer is going to miss the timeline. That is, the schedules are missed. Then what happens is, automatically on analysis it is found that the software engineer is not able to properly maintain the timelines of various phases of the project. That means time management is poor. That is also a critical incident, and it is a negatively reflecting the performance of the appraisee. So such type of critical incidents are going to be recorded, and at the end of the time period it will be shown to the appraisee that you are performing like this way you are good, this way you are not so good, like that. That is going to help the employee improve further and further. That is why here it is mentioned that, I think with this example you are able to understand what is a critical incident. Critical incident method is an important method wherein the appraiser writes down little narratives. That means he has to write a little paragraph that describe what the employee did that was especially effective or ineffective. In this approach to appraisal, specific behaviors are cited, not personality traits. That is why it is focusing on behavior and is judging the performance rather than the personality. It is immaterial whether the personality is this way, soft spoken personality or an aggressive personality. All those things are not relevant. Ultimately what counts is the discharge of the task assigned, achievement of targets, or achievement of the objectives of the organization, project goals. All these are important. That is why it is the critical incidents that are going to throw light on the actual performance of the employee. But there are two drawbacks. One is supervisors are reluctant to write these reports as it is very time consuming, and you cannot quantify the critical incidents. Nothing can be expressed in fake numbers. So ranking of different appraisees, that means different subordinates or different members of the team, is not going to happen in an easy way. So these are the two drawbacks of this critical incidents method. Management by objectives, MBO. It is an important method given by Peter Drucker, a famous management thinker and father of modern management. MBO is defined as a process that converts organizational objectives into individual objectives. It consists of 4 steps. First step is goal setting, second is action planning, third is self-control, fourth is periodic reviews. Goal setting at this stage, as per the concept given by Peter Drucker in Management by Objectives, both the appraiser and appraisee sit together and they identify what is important for the appraisee to perform. That means based on the organizational objectives, the departmental objectives, later the individual objectives. So the individual objectives means the objectives that are directly assigned to the appraisee. So the appraiser, say a zonal sales manager is the appraiser. Regional sales managers, there are say 4 regional sales managers, they are reporting to the zonal sales manager, they are all the appraisees. So then what will happen? Based on the zone target, say zone sales target, the 4 regional sales managers will be given different targets totaling to the zonal sales target. Then a particular regional manager will first negotiate with the zonal manager, and depending on the opportunities that are available in that particular region, the final targets will be fixed upon. That means an opportunity is given to the appraisee to finalize the, to participate in the process of finalization of the targets. That is a very, very important activity we have to understand from this MBO concept. These goals are agreed upon and then become the standards by which the employee's results will be evaluated. That means the targets are already discussed and mutually agreed upon. then automatically the regional sales manager will also feel happy that I have to reach this target because I myself have accepted this target. Therefore, I have a responsibility to achieve the target. That leads to elevation of what is called the motivational level. That is what is the inherent advantages of this MBO process. That means you are not thrusting upon anything. Appraiser or the manager is not thrusting upon the subordinate. Next, action planning is the second step. In this step, what is going to happen is that the means for achieving the ends. Okay, individual objectives are defined. Then how to do, what, how, and when they are going to be defined in this stage. That is action planning. How to do it, when to do it, what is to be done. That means more detailed way of explaining the activities to be performed by the employee. That is part of the action planning. Third one is self-control. Here we have to understand the philosophy of MBO. The MBO philosophy says that individual will have his or her own drive, innate drive to perform. There is no need for somebody to monitor, somebody to thrust upon that you have to do, otherwise you will be penalized, like that. It is not required. So individual will have his or her own innate drive to perform. So now automatically there will be a regular review. Individual himself or herself will review. That is called self-control. The last step is the periodic reviews. Of course, this periodic review has to happen between the appraiser and the appraisee, that is the manager and the subordinate. Then what is required is, suppose the targets are given for a particular quarter. At the end of the first month, if it is not in tune with the quarter target, say at least if it is not 1/3, then an analysis has to take place. That is, when corrective action is required, when the expected targets are not going to be achieved as per the original schedule, say first month, second month, third month, if it is a quarterly target, then definitely some steps are to be taken, for which the appraisee and the appraiser both should once again sit together and discuss. This is a very positive way of thinking. That means at every stage the MBO philosophy says that employee is interested to perform, the manager is also interested to drive. So no question of conflict of interest, everything is mutually agreed upon, ultimately leading to achievement of objectives of the organization. In this way, this MBO is an important method as part of our performance appraisal methods. From the examination point of view, we can write 3 advantages of this MBO: result oriented, clear understanding by the employee of what is expected to do, greater commitment to objectives because they are not thrusted upon but finalized with the participation of the employee. These are already discussed, but from the examination point of view, I am just enlisting them. We have to write 3 points advantages, 1, 2, 3. The third method, 360 degrees appraisal. This is a recent development. Earlier it was not there in any sector, both public sector or private sector, government, like that. This is a very new development, mostly being followed in private sector. The 360 degree feedback process involves collecting the perceptions about a person's behavior, that means performance appraisal, in such a way that it is collected not only from the reporting authority, we call him as appraiser so far. So for simple understanding, I am using the word boss. In addition to boss, colleagues, subordinates, co-members of the project teams, internal and external customers, and suppliers, all are going to be involved in getting the feedback. So the top management is going to get the feedback from not just the regular appraiser, that is the reporting authority. In addition, colleagues, subordinates, co-members of the project teams, customers, suppliers, everybody involved are going to be asked, you tell us the what you perceive about the person's behavior and how it is impacting the business. Then that is called a 360 degrees feedback. What are the advantages? From the examination point of view, always try to write down in point wise. For the individual, it helps understand how others perceive. It uncovers blind spots. Johari window, you might have studied earlier. Johari window says that is a very good HR concept. Blind spots, that means we don't know certain things about ourselves. Somebody else only can tell. So that is the advantage here. Feedback helps in further learning. Ultimately, the entire process is a positive approach. It is not to pinpoint or find fault with the employee or the appraisee. So in this way, we can write there are three advantages. One is for the individual, it helps understand how others perceive, uncovers blind spots, and feedback helps in further learning. After understanding the advantages to the individual, now what are the advantages to the team? Because the team is involved, colleagues are involved, subordinates are involved, like that. So then what are the advantages to the team? Better intra-team communication, because in a team A, B, C, D are there. B, C, D are giving their feedback on A, but A also is giving feedback on B, C, D. That is why ultimately the team also gets an advantage of better intra-team communication, higher level of trust, and a environment that is conducive for active work. People know how to treat others and how they want to be treated. It is all a very positive approach in team management. That is a contribution of this 360 degrees appraisal, and that is for the team. Okay, finally to the after individual and the team, ultimately what is going to help? I mean, what is the advantage of for the organization of this type of appraisal method being adopted? It reinforces the organization culture, improved customer service because feedback is taken from customers also. Feedback helps in formulating, as I already said, relevant training programs, because based on this performance appraisal data, the HR team can identify what are the areas where certain issues are there. That is, customer service maybe or maybe getting affected, or productivity is found to be low. All those things are just taken into consideration, and appropriate training programs can be conducted for making things happen as desired by the organization. From the examination point of view, because in the 20 marks questions, sometimes the questions are framed in such a way that process of performance appraisal, methods of performance appraisal. Two methods normally are asked. So we have discussed, of course, three. In addition to that, the other topics that are being asked in the examination as part of 20 marks question is, that is advantages of performance appraisal, disadvantages of performance appraisal, like that they are being asked. So let us try to consider point wise. Maybe there may be the concept we have already discussed, that the same is going to be repeated, but from the examination point of view, how to write the answer. Advantages of performance appraisal. The advantages are there for the organization, appraiser and appraisee. First we will see what are the advantages for the organization. Improved performance throughout the organization due to more effective communication of the objectives. Just now we discussed. Improvement in the tasks performed by each member of the staff. Training and development needs can be identified very clearly by the HR department. This is at the organization level, the advantages of performance appraisal. For the appraiser, is in between the organization and the appraisee. So appraiser has a role to appraise effectively. That means the appraiser role is also very much important here. So then what is the advantage that is going to accrue to the appraiser? Appraiser will have the opportunity to link the team and the individual objectives and targets with the departmental and organizational objectives and targets. Organizational objectives and targets are going to be there, and the appraisee, suppose he is head of a department, he will have his own department level objectives and targets, and when he is assigning it to an individual level or a team level, he can link all these things on the strength of the performance appraisal, or the job, that means the responsibility of giving a performance appraisal report on the appraisees or the employees reporting to him or her. That authority is going to give him an opportunity. That means because of instilling a system of performance appraisal in an organization, the appraiser is getting an opportunity to link the team and individual objectives to departmental and organizational objectives. Try to understand the correct wording. This is, and also appraiser is also having an opportunity to clarify on the contribution the manager expects from teams and individuals. That is, what manager is expecting from teams and individuals is going to be open, very clear based on this performance appraisal method, because in the process we said that it is not confidential, it is to be communicated to the concerned. That is the second step in our performance appraisal process just now discussed. So that is the second point. And further, the relations with the team individuals reporting to him with mutual trust and understanding is going to give a comfortable work environment for the appraiser. Now the advantages of performance appraisal for the appraisee. Already understood, we shall repeat once again. That is, the first one is clarity of role, because as part of the performance appraisal process itself, what is the second step in the performance appraisal process? That is, the performance standards are to be communicated. They should not be kept confidential. They should be made open. That is leading to clarity of role. What is expected of me by the organization? What I have to do at the end of the year or end of the quarter? What is going to be assessed as far as my performance is concerned? There is a clear description of that. That's why there is a clarity of role. Second is automatically, because the employee knows what to do, automatically he strives to do that. He or she strives to do that. That is nothing but increased level of motivation, ultimately leading to enhanced level of job satisfaction. Similarly, just like advantages, there are some disadvantages of the performance appraisal. The first and foremost thing considered as a disadvantage is the bias and subjectivity. Bias may be there on the part of the appraiser. Subjectivity could be there as part of the appraisal system itself. Subjectivity could be there as part of the system itself, unless it is fully based on figures, targets, achievement, target, achievement, all are numbers only. Suppose the performance appraisal is for, say, for 100 marks, all the points, say it consisted of 20 points, 20 into 500. If all the 20 are figures only, then target, achievement percentage 100%, 80% or 60%, like that. So then no subjectivity, everything is objective. But that may not be the case always, because certain traits are to be assessed by the appraiser. Then an element of subjectivity cannot be ruled out. Next is stress and anxiety. Because of this performance appraisal process, an employee may have some feeling what is going to happen to my performance appraisal at the end of the financial year, like that. That leads to some anxiety. And the third one is inconsistency in appraisal. One appraiser will appraise in one way. One appraiser will understand the entire performance appraisal process in one way, and some other appraiser will do in some other way. That leads to inconsistency in appraisal. That we will discuss in more detail in the next topic, that is problems in performance appraisal. The next topic is problems in performance appraisal. This is an interesting topic, mainly because the subject of performance appraisal could be deeply be understood once we know these problems in performance appraisal. So it is discussion also will be interesting now. First one is the leniency error. Some appraisers mark high and some other appraisers will mark low. That is their individual tendency. We can't do anything about it. Giving higher marks, always giving 90, 91, 92, 93 for everybody, that is called a positive leniency error. And giving low marks, always 61, 62, 65, never giving anybody beyond 69, is the negative leniency error. In positive leniency error, the employee's performance is going to be overstated, and in the negative leniency error, the employee's performance is going to be understated. The next one is the halo effect. Tendency to rate high or low based on one rating on one parameter. Suppose a parameter, of course, that may be important in a particular context for one manager and his subordinate. There, the dependability, more particularly based on confidentiality of the record that is shared with the employee. So somebody is very good in maintaining 100% confidentiality, therefore dependable. That particular employee is going to be rated high. High means 100% on that particular parameter. That doesn't mean actually that he is very good in all other parameters, but the tendency of the appraiser to rate high based on this performance, based on this rating on one single parameter, that is dependability based on confidentiality, that particular parameter is going to influence the entire rating process, entire appraisal process, automatically he or she is going to be rated very high in the overall appraisal system. That is called halo effect. The same is the case with the negative side of the same. Suppose somebody is not good in maintaining confidentiality, everything gets leaked, so he or she is not dependable, then automatically entire performance appraisal, all other parameters also, the appraiser is likely to rate low. That is called halo effect. Similarity error. Similarity error means the appraiser's perception of themselves acting as a standard. That means suppose the manager has a habit of sitting for long hours, say working for some 10 to 12 hours per day, then he likes those employees who also works like that, that is sits along with him or her for long hours. Then those who work from 10 to 5, they definitely are going to be disliked by that appraiser. So similarity error means the appraiser is evaluating the performance or having a perception based on his own behavior as a standard or reference. So that is called similarity error. Central tendency. Central tendency is also something similar to leniency error. That means the appraiser is not having flair for marking at either extreme ends of the rating. Either extreme ends of the rating means something like unsatisfactory, below average, average, above average, good, like that. Some rating system is there. Some people always try to tick in the middle of the continuum. That means without looking into the each individual parameter on which this appraisal is going to be made, every parameter the appraiser is going to give the middle, that means average, 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 like that. So he will have a restriction, range restriction he will have. That means he wants to confine to the middle in the appraising, in giving a rating on different parameters, but that is going to actually undermine the entire process of this appraisal system, because it won't reflect the true picture, because on all the parameters one won't be like that only. On some parameters one may be very good, and some other parameters he may be below average, like that. So central tendency is one problem in performance appraisal. The last one is recency effect. Recency versus primacy effect means, recency means recent period. Suppose appraisal is happening immediately after completion of financial year, that is in the month of April. So in March month something has happened, say a negative incident has happened, it is going to spoil the entire year's performance appraisal. Okay. Similarly, you can say the positive side also, some exceptional performance is shown only in the month of March, all other 11 months his performance is not good, but that also may have impact on the final appraisal for the entire year. That is called recency effect. Closeness to the appraisal period, that means the end of the period. The opposite of it is primacy effect. Primacy effect means first impression is the best impression, that is known to everybody. What happens is, in the first impression one employee will be considered as a very good employee. So even though that same standard of performance is not going to be maintained by that employee in the rest of, say that impression was there in the first quarter itself, say, then in Q2, Q3, Q4 the same performance is not actually maintained, but the performance even got deteriorated. Even then, because of the first impression is going to have that much influence, that is called primacy effect. He or she is going to be rated high at the end of the performance period, at the end of the financial year. That is called primacy effect. So this leniency error, halo effect, similarity error, central tendency, recency versus primacy effect are the major problems in performance appraisal. From this we can understand to what extent we are objective in the performance appraisal. You can easily understand the inbuilt deficiencies in the appraisal system, but they can be minimized by evolving the performance appraisal system in an effective way. That means a scope for this leniency error, scope for central tendency, they can be restricted by giving suitable instructions to the appraiser. The last topic is potential appraisal. Please understand all the 8 topics that we have discussed are performance appraisal only, but this is potential appraisal, not performance appraisal. First point. Second is, this is also an important topic. Sometimes 10 marks question is asked in the examination. Write notes on potential assessment. The word used was potential assessment. That is nothing but potential appraisal. So what is potential appraisal? So this is practically what is going to happen in any organization. Somebody may be very good at particular level, but if he is promoted to the next higher level, he cannot work as expected by the organization in that particular cadre. That is the crux of this potential appraisal. The task of identifying potential for promotion cannot be easy for the appraising manager, because competency of an employee to perform well in the current job is not an automatic indicator of potential for promotion. He may, suppose in an organization, somebody is working as a clerk at the clerical level. So if he is promoted based on his seniority and good performance and very good, or rather very good performance at that particular seat at that level of clerical level, if he is promoted as an officer, it doesn't automatically mean that he will be able to perform in that particular role also effectively and in the same standards. Potential is defined as latent but unrealized ability. That the potential is there inside, but it is not going to be realized because opportunity was not there. Opportunity comes later only on promotion. There are many people who have the desire and potential to advance through the job they are in, waiting for the opportunity to operate at a higher level of competence in the same type of work. That means when if the opportunity is not there, the talent is not going to be tapped. It is not visible at all. But once the opportunity comes, he or she will definitely prove that he or she could perform very well at the elevated level or promoted level. The potential is the one that the appraiser should be able to identify and develop, but it is very difficult because it is latent and an unrealized ability. Because the 10 marks question is being asked, I would like to mention the methods for potential assessment or potential appraiser also. These are not directly available in our IGNOU course material, but for a 10 marks question, we just write just now what we discussed about potential appraisal, it may not be sufficient. You may not be able to stretch it further also. So there are 2 methods for potential assessment. One is competency assessment, other is psychometric tests. Competency assessment means assessing the leadership potential through leadership exercises or role-playing scenarios. That means this method evaluates an individual skills, behavior and abilities that are crucial for future roles. As discussed now, potential appraisal speaks of the future requirement. Present position, present performance level is not an indicator of the future performance. That is what we have understood by potential appraisal. So these assessments often involve observing employees in real life scenario or simulated situations. That is competency assessment, normally done for very high level positions. Next is psychometric tests. These are standardized tests that measure various aspects of an individual's mental abilities, personality traits and potential for future performance. There are certain tests. These tests are cognitive ability tests, personality assessment tests and emotional intelligence tests. One famous one is Myers-Briggs Type Indicator, MBTI. This is a very recent development wherein 16 personality types. It is a self-assessment test. When it is administered on a particular executive, it is going to assess his personality. There are 16 personality types. There are, and out of which 4 will be picked up. So whether it is either he or she is an extrovert or introvert, like that. There are, it's of course it is beyond the scope of this discussion, that a Myers-Briggs Type Indicator test is going to understand an employee's personality type and suitability for leadership roles, and it is a self-administered test. That means the particular executive is going to be asked to answer the questions, series of questions. Based on the responses he or she gives, the personality could be gauged by this particular test. That is one psychometric test. We have covered all the topics that are relevant for the examination as far as this unit 8 is concerned, that is performance appraisal unit. Definitely this is a scoring question, 20 marks question. We are expecting a question of 20 marks from this unit 8 performance appraisal, and it is also, as it is scoring, students are advised to definitely pick it up and write in a detailed way, in the way that we have discussed and also presented, like the diagram in the case of performance appraisal process, and the methods, choosing at least 2 methods out of the 3 we discussed, which are important methods, and also points we have enlisted for advantages, disadvantages, problems, like that. All those things we have presented in a systematic, orderly way. I advise the students to replay the video and note down, so that that will be useful as a last minute revision day before examination. Thank you for watching. We shall meet in our next video presentation coming up in a few days, wherein we will be discussing unit 9. Thank you. Please don't forget to subscribe to the channel.